Hi there, podcaster and YouTuber. Just going over some of the headlines today that I was seeing that caught my fancy. So I'm going to go over some of those with you, and we will discuss one way. Katie Holmes says that she's been with Tom Cruise for 30 years. She knows who she is, where she is, and where she wants to go, and she just wants to focus on that. She says, I definitely feel much more comfortable in my own skin, and I feel sexier. So the bad news is the divorce is happening, and the good news is Katie Holmes feels sexier.
Oh, there's the woman I'm sexually attracted to.
She is a handsome woman. Now, in terms of Tom's going to file in California. She's filing in New York. In New York, they have much more lenient laws in regards to full custody, which is what she wants. He's filing California because California says 50-50. Now, the church was trying to say, the Church of Scientology was trying to say that the reason that Katie wanted to leave Tom is because she is what they term a suppressed person. Now, in our layman's terms, that's a sociopath. So they are trying to get Surrey to believe that mommy's a suppressed person. Now, here is what a church expert said. Church of Scientology expert said that the leaders of the church could covertly visit harm upon any future career for Katie Holmes. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I buy that. I think she's doing fine, and I think she'll do fine. Try this one on for size. Now, these are some surveys that they just did about the sexual appetite of human beings, specifically what some human beings should and shouldn't be doing while they are on dates. So this is very important for you. Majority of singles, 47% of single people said that they would ask out or expect to be asked out on a dinner date on date numero dos. I bet you were thinking 3. I was actually thinking 1. I was actually thinking on the first date that they would do that, but what are you going to do? Why wouldn't anybody go on a first date and go to dinner? What are you supposed to do? I mean, if you're cool, you ask somebody out, you go to the beach and play your guitar that you don't know how to play. I don't know. What else? Men were more likely to say the first date was the best time for dinner. In fact, 49% of men, which is, I still don't understand that 51% of dudes that said no, not appropriate to take a girl out to dinner on the first date. Party of 2, order of 1. What does that mean? It means that when you go out on a date, specifically a dinner date, one of the biggest turnoffs is if, and this is in order, these are turnoffs on the date, if the date orders for them. 67% of singles despise that. Who orders for their date in 2012? In 1955, Dad would take Mom, because they were dating, out to a dinner, 1955 or 56, and go, "Yes, she'll take the hamburger, please. And also a side of French fries." And no, I know they're called French fries. I call them French fries. I know what they are. They're French fries. I call them French fries. So I'd appreciate if you would call them French fries. If a date asks the person to split the check, that's a big no-no. 62% of people said, I hate that. I don't know how it's not 100. And third, if their date is picky while ordering. Of course. If you go out with a guy or you go out with a girl that says, well, I want the BLT, but I don't want bacon, and I would also like to get a side of rice, but I don't want you to cook it all the way because I don't like the texture. It icks me out. So just boil the rice al dente. How about this? This is a turn on. If you're knowledgeable about food, turns women on. If you're knowledgeable about food, in fact, in food pairings. So if you go, yes, that's a wonderful Beaujolais sauce over a nice steak. You know what that would pair well with is a 97 Cabernet from the Ocatella Coast. I just made up Ocatella. So there you go. I thought some of those were interesting. I'll pepper those in because I thought that was pretty interesting. This is really interesting too. Did you hear about the baby panda? There is a baby panda awaiting its name at the Tokyo Zoo. It's a giant panda, and this is the first time in 24 years that a baby has been born there in Tokyo. So very good news for them. Let me see if I can dial something up for you that you might like. I have this song that perhaps you would remember. Goes like this. Slow it down. It's the stupidest song I've ever heard in my life, and I love it. Were they serious when they recorded it? As a heart attack. Thank you. So anyway, that's Panda, and I love that song.
Well said.
Thank you. This is interesting to me. Temperatures in the Midwest and the East Coast are just absolutely killing people right now. Literally. It's extraordinarily hot in areas like Chicago and all throughout the Midwest. And it's really sad that people have lost their lives, especially the elderly, you know, that's really who it's affected. But I really want to make a point about how this is not, a lot of people are probably thinking that this has something to do with global warming. I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know if global warming exists. So I can't really make an argument that it exists. You know, I know people will say, well, the glaciers are melting. I happen to believe that we go through cycles, As a matter of fact, I did some of my own research looking at this thing with Chicago, right? So Chicago has had something like 6 record days of heat, 100-plus degree, which is amazing to me, that a place can actually be freezing, I mean, just absolutely freezing cold, and it can also be so unbearably hot. But I did some research, because what I wanted to find out is, how unusual is it? Check this out. In 1934, in July, just like now, the warmest temperature in Chicago ever was recorded. It was 110 degrees. Now, temperatures have not been that high in Chicago through this deal. But what it shows you is, guys, this happens. It's cyclical. We can't point at it and say, there it is. There's what everybody's been telling you about with the global warming. It's been happening before. It has happened before. We can't freak out about it. I just watched an episode of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. And on it, he discussed the very disturbing trend of riding motorcycles at horrifying speeds. The story came to us from Ireland and a little island called the Isle of Man. That's M-A-N. Little island off of Ireland where they are allowed to rev their bikes up and go at speeds of close to 200 miles per hour, make turns at 100-some miles an hour, where some of them go hurtling off the side of the cliff. They've asked the mayor of this small little Irish town, what do you make of 9 people dying during the event last year? And he said, well, it's not like somebody's forcing them to do it. If they want to ride, they should be able to ride. That is unusual here in America. You do not hear that kind of stuff in America. But the one thing I know about getting a car or a bike up to that speed, something's going to happen. And it did. Oh, he's always writing when they come back.
Armin, these people travel at speeds at over 200 miles an hour. Why?
It always ends with why.
Mr. Bundy, you ate 4 women. Why?
It's too bad we can't go back in time and have him interview world-famous people. Jack Ruby.
Jack, you shot a man walking out of a door in the stomach and he screamed. Why?
Excuse me a moment. Ah, that's refreshing. The cool, refreshing taste of a Rockstar energy drink. Why, every time I get thirsty, I like to have a nice glass of Rockstar energy drink. Find it at local retailers. Retailers? All right, guys. I have no plan for this. I just roll. So hopefully you've enjoyed yourself, and I know I have.